gentlemen, the show is about to start in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, for one night only, we are joined by the special man who's normally invisible, the one and only Omar.
Hello, how are you, mate?
I'm all right. I'm good. I'm good, mate. I'm good. It feels like a return to the beginning, mate. It feels like how we were. Do you know what I mean? This is how we started. Well, it was sort of that's how it started.
I just want to go on a limb and say and try and claim this. Friday Night Live was something I coined back in the day. So, hey, we're back today, mate. You sent me to the shop to get a pint of milk. Took me a little while, but I'm back now.
Anyway, let's...
I'm out of place now. Put me back. Thank you.
Good evening, one and all. Welcome to another edition of that Friday night show, live show in that Millwall podcast. My myself is Mickey. Over that way is Omar. Down there is Stephen. Good evening, Stephen.
Evening, chaps. Mickey.
Can't hear you, mate. You're on mute, I think.
Okay.
You're not. And down there is Benjamin. How you doing, Ben?
Evening, fellas.
Good evening.
I'm getting pelters from the panelists.
I just thought, we go as we mean to go on. Yes, we'll get to all your comments in a minute. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Spineless, gutless, useless, not the Millwall, I know. Yeah, but he's back tonight, so let's leave off the abuse for now. A bit early to start that instantly, do you know what I mean? Right, what the order of the show tonight then is, we've got a special bit about halfway through. I'm going to show you a super goal, really, from a young lad who plays for the Millwall youth team. You probably saw me communicating with his dad on Twitter. I'll tell you a bit about him, and then if people want to follow his journey, I'll put up details to be able to do that. Give you a rundown on that. That'll be about halfway through. Second half, obviously, we are always going to be talking about Glenn, the Coventry boy, is already in the comments. We'll come to that in a little bit, fella. Second half, obviously, we're going to be talking about our game tomorrow at the Den, which is obviously Sunderland, which is visiting. Probably at the best time, really, for them to be visiting because they've got no fucking strikers. But we'll come to that in a bit. This first half, because I've got three of the best football brains of the podcast, and what I want to do, well, everyone knows fucking it ain't me, so let's not fucking pretend. You know what I mean? Until I start doing our newest show. So yeah, everyone's moaning about Edwards, which I think's madness, and I think some people need to give their heads a wobble. To be fair, as quoting Ben's tweet from the other day, 3 games in, he's inherited pretty much a Harris and a Rowett team, which is pretty much strong, very strong defensively set up and minded players to a degree. Good evening, Alex. I think Alex Gidley is the lad. I think, did you not do the Remembrance a couple of years ago? I think that's the same thing. It might be different, but still, hang on. I want to talk about what you guys think is probably our best formations, where you think we can use the benefit of the players we've got currently, and where you think's what. And also, I'm interested to see the players who you think potentially would be our best format within that formation, who would be our best starting 11. So there will be a few tricks, and then obviously, what did Joe Edwards mean by the other day when he said, it's just basic skills, basic footballing skills, and then we go from there. So yeah, he is the same fella. The first year when Bomber was there, and it went mad on that Coldblow Lane lens. So yeah. Ken, I'm totally with you. Give Joe a card. Let's just quickly go on there and just double check what the panel is. If not, we'll remove them. Omar, thoughts on Edwards?
in general or in every sense. Obviously, the game's in these time. That's a fact.
There we go. Yeah, no, exactly.
That's a stone cold fact. I mean, it's 3 games. You say everyone's written them off. I've not seen. I see you always get the same negativity online on Twitter after a game. Whether the result is like win or lose, there'll be someone that finds some negativity. To be honest, but I think obviously being there Wednesday, it was a hard pill to swallow. It's almost like the players. We'll talk about that obviously more in detail, I'm sure, in a bit. But it felt like they were set up trying to more try and be aware of the opposition for the first time. Obviously, we came off the back of a 3-0 defeat against Coventry, which you can understand. Obviously, a bit more caution, perhaps, change of formation, change of shape. But Edwards needs time. He's obviously got clear ideas what he wants to do. And I think he obviously wants to try and implement a style play that doesn't really befit a lot of our players. And that's not news to us. So he needs time. He needs a couple of windows to get his team in. And I just guest appeared on a Sunderland BBC radio show earlier, and I said, this season is consolidating now, and we came with all aspirations, but let's be honest, new manager now in charge, he needs time, and that's all we're gonna have to give him. And there will be highs like Sheffield Wednesday, a massive high, but there will be lows, I think, once we're going through this stage.
I think you're probably right there. I mean, that's pretty thingy. We'll go to you next then, Stephen.
Yeah, look, I think you're always going to get the negativity. You're always going to get. I mean, I saw a ridiculous comment that someone said that the board and Berylson should come out and say that they got it wrong with Edwards and go and appoint someone else. It's 3 games. Like Omar, I was there on Wednesday. That first half was tough to watch. It was a brutal lesson in a team that are on the up, a team that know exactly what they're doing week in, week out. Their movement was spot on, their passing was crisp, and we just couldn't really lay a glove on them, to be honest with you. If they really had tried it, it could have been any score. Interesting, you said earlier, Mickey, I just was looking it up, that some of the players that are in this squad have played under Rowett and Harris. There's 7 that have now played for 3 different managers during the last sort of 4 or 5 years. I think we all know who they are, and you just wonder if, again, we'll probably come on to this. I think a few of them on Wednesday look like they may not last too long under this manager, which we probably knew anyway. But there might be a few more that are a more recent acquisition to follow out the door, but it is too early to judge. It's too early to judge Edwards. It really, really is.
No, I totally agree with you there. So yeah, Ben, you've been quite vocal over Twitter over the last couple of days.
Yeah, only because
even though no one can see your fucking tweets because you're private, but yeah, you've been busy.
For anyone that's following me, they can. Yeah, look, I just think
follow Ben_Green.
Yeah, and then get me moaning about people moaning. Yeah, look, I just think we were all pissed off with the result and how we played in that first half hour, 40 minutes. But to be pointing fingers, Edwards saying it's his fault. We knew there was going to be a transition period. We knew there was going to be a complete change in play style or certainly an implementation of what he wants us to do. And as Stephen said, Ipswich are very well drilled, very well coached. They're second in the league for a reason. Really good side. I don't think we would have got anything there if Edwards was in charge for 5 years, let alone 5 weeks or whatever it's been. So, yeah, I just think some of the comments were unwarranted towards Edwards. I think there needs to become a point where we just go, is the squad at a point now where it needs refreshing? We need better players to implement a style that he wants, and we just need to start realising that we've probably overachieved for a while. So, yeah, I was pissed off. I was pissed off with the result, the way we played. I was pissed off with what I'd seen. But let's be positive going into tomorrow, I think. I don't want to be negative Dan for tonight's show.
No, that's fine. I'll tell you what I will do quickly while you're right. I mean, Glenn obviously is a Coventry fan who watches the show pretty much religiously each week, which is great. It's great. He's on the Championship group. But there's a question there which I'll ask you, and again, if you want to get in the comments, do so. But who impressed you more between the 2 teams, between Coventry or Ipswich? I would have said pretty much, personally, my view would be Ipswich because they looked more as a team, and Coventry purely because of their one player who just ripped Murray a new arsehole, pretty much.
To be honest with you, I don't think we could lay a glove on Ipswich personally. I think they stopped playing, and that's why we managed to get a goal in the second half. Coventry, whilst that Sakamoto was very good, and they had some good players, we did have chances in that game. We did create 14 chances. I'm not saying that they weren't all on target, and I know that. And it's not, it's no disrespect to anyone else in the league, but if Ipswich could continue and don't get injuries, I get your money on them to stay in that top two, in my opinion.
I think I agree with you as well, though. Honestly, I think with Ipswich, like, they just stopped us from the first minute. But I do think a bit of that was how we went into the game and the players as well. It's kind of they walked on that pitch a bit defeated before the game started. It felt like they gave them too much respect because they're top of the league. They're up there. It felt like the players are like, we're in for a hiding today. We're in for a long game. I don't know if that's, I doubt that comes from the manager. But obviously, even Edwards said after the game he was surprised at what he saw from the players because they just shriveled from it, and we've all travelled up there to watch that Wednesday. And it was embarrassing, but equally so, Ipswich were top. And I think with Coventry, they had a game plan, executed it superbly. And Mark Robbins is the manager there, and he's a brilliant manager that, can set his teams up to do that kind of performance.
I'll change it up and I'll say Coventry then. I do like Coventry. We spoke about it on our previous. So I like them. A good side. I've seen them a few times, and I like everything they do there. I like Mark Robbins. I think he's top drawer. How he hasn't been looked at for a bigger job. I'd say bigger job. No disrespect to Coventry, but a bit maybe a Premier League side. I think he is top drawer. And I felt like with Coventry, having watched the full game back, that it was a bit like a boxer, and we were just gassing ourselves out, and they just knew what we were going to do. Let us have the ball. We weren't really, I know we had chances, but yeah, I like Coventry. I do think they'll make the playoffs. I think they'll go on their silly run again now.
Something what you just said there, Ben, which I agree with. I think that the problem under Rowett was that his systems he played exposed our players because he was playing pretty much the same formation, the same team week in, week out. And I think what he's done is he's exposed us last season and teams were starting to undo us. And now this season, people know that Murray is probably a couple of yards off what he was. Cooper has his hit and miss days. And if you take it to Cooper, some days he's not necessarily really there. Hutch is very injury prone. Leonard again, when he's fit, he is unplayable in some places, but he's just, and Longman, I've got no idea on Longman. I think Longman is just, if you want to say maybe a wage thief to a degree. He doesn't seem interested. I mean, I'll read you some comments in a minute from a whole fan I spoke to, who does a whole show, who pretty much said similar with him. But yeah,
Mickey, with the point about Rowett and this team, I joke about it, but I think he set that team up knowing the limitations of the players we had. Yeah. Like, you look at Murray Wallace and okay, but you play him left side centre half or left wing back with three defenders behind him to someone else to mop up his mistakes or mop up. That formation was quite negative at times. I think one of the comments there from John said, I think the Rowett style hid the lack of quality. Going forward, absolutely, we wouldn't have won 4-0 at Sheffield Wednesday on the road, but we probably still would have kept a clean sheet and drawn 0-0. Like with Rowett's team, this is the limitations of our team. Maybe what is try and get more different players in. Charlie Creswell last season, for example. And I think Creswell's been mentioned already, but I think that is a priority this January if we can get him because he's not getting games. But I think Rowett knew the limitations of the sides, and that was why he set up in a certain way. And with that, then I think you don't get such good quality forwards going forward. But Edwards is now, I'm the new manager. We're going to do this, and then that's why we're getting ripped to shreds like against Coventry on Saturday.
So really, what John Parr says there is pretty much what you're saying is that Rowett's style just hid the lack of the quality in the team.
It hid the quality going forwards. Players like that not getting the side, but it made us hard to beat, and also didn't allow Cooper to pass the ball 20 times in his own half. Do you know what I mean? Like it was. We want that going forward. That's clear with Edwards, but that's going to be a process, which is why we're saying but we've got to stick with them and let this ride it out.
I also think on that, just to follow up, where you say that Rowett, the quality was hidden. Before last season, he also had Jed Wallace. So Jed Wallace covered up for, I mean, we all knew, with Jed Wallace FC and all of that, but we all knew that he would create something for us, and more often than not, he did. So he had cover in an attacking sense. Jed left. I don't want to use the term lucky, because I don't think 32 goals between two players is lucky. But last season, he had two players that were at their absolute best, really, in terms of numbers, which again hid the. We all know if Fleming and Bradshaw didn't score, no one else did. So he had that to fall back on. And then this season, Bradshaw and Fleming hasn't clicked. Nisbet's been in the side, injured out the side. No one else has contributed apart from Wes Harding, and he couldn't get a game under Rowett. So it's not just the fact that he's hidden attacking players. He's had players at their absolute best.
Yeah.
And when you lose it, what have you got?
You're spot on, because even if you look at even the Sheffield Wednesday game, the goal was a team goal, collective build-up play to it. Whereas last season, Bradshaw against Norwich sticks in the memory where he's the nuisance, gets his shot away, good finish. Fleming away to Stoke. It's all fashioned from their own individual brilliance. Whereas with Edwards, you can see we're moving to that. And I think that's the exciting part, but we've just got to hold on to that when we're going through this shit spell at the minute.
And I think it is just a shit spell at the minute. I don't think Edwards is going to allow this to go, because I think what you need is maybe one of the a sports psychiatrist or a sports therapist, whatever it is, where they just need to get in their head, because they seem to just, when they go down one, they seem to drop their heads too much. I mean, again, something what Edwards said the other day, but we just need to think, well, it's only one goal, it's not over, let's go get that goal back. And I think that mentality needs to come back in the team, because I don't think what someone, I think it was Chris earlier, put on, the problem is at the moment, we seem to have a gutless lot of players who just want to be the victim and just go, oh, well, they've scored. No, they've scored, but you've still got X amount of minutes left. Even if they scored in the 85th minute, you've still got, the time left to go back out and score another goal. Benjamin?
Yeah, and I think just going back to Edwards' comments, I don't think it's just about timing of when the goals go in. It's the nature of the goals as well. I mean, the first two that Ipswich scored were Sunday League level defending. Like, we've let the cross come in so easy. That's fine. But then we've got to try and deal with that. We don't. It then drops to the edge of the box. No one's closed it down. He's able to shift it. I think it was onto his left foot, and he stuck it in the corner. It was just like, it weren't one thing. It was two, three. I know Edward said about the second ball. It was almost four sort of little passages that we could have done better. The second goal, Aldegizi's got a free header from 15 yards out with no one near him. And it was just like, I think, it's just things like that. And we have been known, whilst we've been pragmatic, hard to beat, we're a hard-working, honest side. And I think that's what would have upset all of us, but Joe the most, because we didn't show any of those qualities the other night. And I think that's the thing.
He did look in the 3 post-match, obviously the win and the 2 losses. I do think that he's very honest in his response. He looked absolutely pissed off. I mean, if you watched the last one after Ipswich, I mean, he looked as if he wanted to, jab Max in the face, mate. It was like, why the fuck are you asking me these questions, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? He wasn't happy at all. And, we're going to have to wait and see where we are with it. But going forward, I mean, Dale's put in on there, he said, we're playing much better football under Edwards, trying to implement a completely different type of football with a Rowett-type Harris squad won't work. Needs to be given a chance in January, bringing in his own players. I take it you boys probably agree with that.
I do. If I just say something on January, don't expect wholesale changes. It's the worst window.
That's exactly it.
It's the worst window to go and get players full stop, let alone players that are going to improve us. We've spent money in the summer. How much budget do we have? So there's a number of factors, but the January transfer window is not one where we're going to go and make 5, 6 signings. I'd expect us to probably go and make 2 or 3, maybe loan signings. That'll be it.
I think the same.
If we get anyone, again, you want to buy players now that are going to improve us and they're going to have quality. No player's going to let their best players go for cheap or players that we can afford in January.
Well, interesting question
And
too,
all-
that then, right? So, what do you guys think about this one? He's obviously changing the style of play quite rapidly. I think he is personally, anyway.
Yeah.
And so, with that, is it good that he's doing that because this is how we're going to play from the get-go, or should it be let's get results, then start to implement that? Because there is that fear, isn't there? If we keep trying to do this, look at Burnley and the company; they keep trying and trying and trying, and he's being stubborn and not changing it up. But do we need to change it up and get some results? But what do you guys think?
I think, and this is again, I was tweeting about this the other day. When he took the job and the way it was all positioned and where we were and things like that, we were obviously not doing very well, but we had a comfortable gap between us and the bottom three, and it was a case of right, we're going to change the process. We're going in this direction now. If the teams at the bottom of the league do pick up some points and the gap does start to dwindle, and I think it's now down to 7 points, that's when you can't just keep trying to play this style of football and hope that it's going to click into gear. Because whilst you've got the buffer, great, you could potentially try and introduce. But, you know, I'll use Adam Malachi as an example. I said, and I've said it a couple of times now, he can't do any worse than what Murray Wallace against last week against Coventry, and Longman and Wallace as a combination down that left-hand side against Ipswich. He cannot do any worse. But you can't put him in a game if you're coming up against QPR and they're 2 points behind you. You can't put him in under that kind of pressure. So there has to be a little bit of thought process behind what we're trying to do here. Because if we can get a little bit of a gap, great, do what you want, but pick up some points along the way. Because if you don't, you could be in trouble.
I mean, on what you said there, I mean, Alex has come back and said, I just think we've been naive thinking we can convert players into a forward-thinking, ball-playing players in the short term. There needs to be a bridging tactics until we get the right players in. Pretty much what you said there, isn't it?
I'll keep saying it to Ben as well. I think we said it to Sheffield Wednesday over and over again. I just hope he doesn't reinvent the wheel. Don't reinvent the wheel overnight. Like, you know, it's going to be a process, but I don't think he is. You can see what he's trying to do, and I didn't mind Coventry. It's just we were so exposed at the back that was the underlying thing from it. But you can see what we're trying to do, and if we start the games positively like we did on Saturday last week, we might go in front in games, and then it's a different storyline there. But that's it. You know, we need to take them chances when they come to you as well.
Yeah, no, we're not saying it isn't, Cole. You know, 3-0 against Leeds, 3-0 against Swansea. You know, the big score lines have been there pretty much throughout this season. Hence, one of the reasons why Rowett decided to, you know, enough's enough, whether or not he left or pushed or whatever. Mutual consent seems to be the in word. But what you mentioned about Burnley, I think the problem is with Burnley is that Burnley thought they were going to be able to go in the Prem and play pretty much how they played in the Championship. And unfortunately, what it has shown is the vast difference between the Premiership and the Championship, that the style, what will make you a world beater in the Championship, will make you easily beatable in the Premiership.
That's it, because that's my point. Because if you look at Brentford don't play the same way they did in the Championship. Brentford in Championship would be that passing side. They're a bit more direct now, and they have a bit more about them going forward. Teams mix it up, you know, and they do, like, when they need results, you have to change it. Thankfully, our situation is not as much toxic as it is at Birmingham City, because I don't see Rooney lasting until probably February at this point, because that is a toxic situation up there. And that's fine. But I think with us, it's like it's just got to be just patience on our side of things. But also, I think from the manager, from Joe Edwards, or the head coach, should I say, he needs to also really kind of not try to change too much too quickly, because we have got good players in there and we all see it, but it's got to be done over time and also be able to grind some results out when we need them.
Well, have we got good players? Honestly, I don't mean that disrespectfully. Is it because we've overachieved, we've performed well under Rowett? Have we got a good side? How many of the players in our starting 11 do you think would get in most other Championship sides? I don't think it's that many.
I think 3, maybe.
I was going to say, as a follow-up to that, what makes our players... Can I just say one thing? Good.
Stephen, why do you keep repeating yourself tonight?
Am I?
Not repeating this in. You're saying one word. You're saying like the opening bit twice. Unless that's me. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Sorry.
All right, okay. now he's going to be conscious the rest of the show.
Yeah, I have no idea what I might just leave. I'm just gonna leave.
Stage fright's going to come in here.
What makes our players good players, and how many of them realistically in our squad are good players at this level? Realistically,
well, I don't want to take on the chat, but everyone's going for Zian Fleming tonight, and I, for one, I think one of them said he's disinterested, not looking at. If you're chasing the ball for 90 minutes, like we did on Wednesday night, I could forgive him for looking disinterested. I could, he's having a hard time there, and a lot of people saying he needs to drop him. He's a quality footballer, and it's not even just a sense of okay, maybe it doesn't fit into the style under Barrett at times, and it was individual brilliance at times as well, but. You watch him play football, and he is playing like there's a Christmas tree passing. He reads the game very well. We need to build this team around him, and there's no exceptions in my mind to it. And I don't want to take the chat on my first show back on a live, but we need to not like abuse these players or like get onto these players. We need to be backing these players because these are the players that are going to win us games, and we need to win games at the minute.
I have to say I can't agree with. I agree with partly the fact that you can tell that he does read the game. You can see him trying things, but when you're in a position that we are and we're struggling and we're clearly, you need your top or your so-called top players to be performing, to be at the front of everything good that we do. How many times do we see Zian Fleming try and do a little back heel or a little flick and a little thing and it's kind of like just do the basics, just keep the ball, create a chance, don't try anything out of the ordinary. And I put it in our chat the other day that I'm starting to lose patience with him, and I wouldn't be against if Edwards was to drop him. I wouldn't. A part of me now is thinking I wouldn't be against it.
I see the argument to bring Essay in instead. I can support that, but I'd want both in the side because you watch them play. Technically, they're very, very good footballers, and I think you need to play to their strengths. Like Sheffield Wednesday away, Fleming was, I felt at times going forward, key to a lot of things we were doing, and I felt like also at Coventry, there's moments in the game where like you can see what he's trying to do. And I feel like Edwards is trying to put that through him as well, but. I do take your point, but I do agree with what everyone's saying. Like, there's been times where he's not been that great, but I think he is an option up front. I think there's a comment just come in just there as well. I do actually think if you have Fleming leading the line, I think he can offer a lot more than Bradshaw and Nisbet are at the moment, to be honest with you.
I think Fleming's got far more of a play. No, I agree with you, mate. I'm at that point now where I think we need Fleming up front. And he's got more of a presence. He's good in the air. He put on weight from last year, as in strength. He's bulked up. He can hold it up with his back to goal. And I was actually trying to think how many times do we see Fleming thread those passes in between a fullback and a centre half? How many times do you see him have a killer pass? You don't, and that's what you want a number 10 to do. So I just think just get him as high up the pitch as we can, where he can affect it. Where if it drops to him in the box or around the 18-yard box, he's probably going to be up there with the best finisher, right? So I'm up there now. I think get him up top.
Mr. Nate has raised a very good point there. Is that you can't really afford to drop him because you never know when he's going to turn up and have a game, do you?
Well, here's one though. If it was Jed Wallace,
do you know who Mr. Nate is, by the way? With the way that you both of you just smiled, then.
No idea. No. But what I'm trying to get at is like with Jed, if it was Jed Wallace, because Jed Wallace runs around and he gives his all the whole time, we'd cut him slack when he has bad games. Because Fleming doesn't necessarily do that, we're all quick to get on his back. And that is the typical Millwall fan thing to do. And I'm the same with it and guilty of it too at games. And I'm not excusing, and I'm not saying we shouldn't do that. But I think there is something in that where if it's because it's Fleming and he's a different type of footballer and he's not, he's a technically different kind of player we're used to see it, then we're quick to get on their backs. But these players are capable of the amount of magic we need to win the games, I feel like. And you need to get to support them and try and get the best out of them. Because otherwise, who else we got? Can you say about who else is a good players, Stephen, as well, though, that we've got that could get in any other championship side? Fleming's one of them, surely.
Yeah, it has to be. And Denora.
On current form, I don't think Fleming is. There's a comment that I think that
the Birmingham fan has just posted this, which is, "Hi John, thanks for tuning in. He's watched the last couple of shows and he likes it. Good content. Thanks for that, mate." He said the Fleming of last season every club would want. the Fleming of this season I've seen, granted not many, he looks like a shell of the player he was.
There's a lot of players
That's from
outside that are the same.
that's from a Birmingham fan who don't watch our games, and he's picked that up.
At the moment, I would say Casper De Norre is one that would probably get into the majority of the teams in the division. And in all honesty, and I might get pelters for this, I don't think there's anyone else at the moment. Maybe on his form,
Danny Mack,
Bart, and perhaps Brooke Norton-Cuffy. But other than that, there's not. How many? When do you ever see the opposition supporters go, "Oh, that's such and such had a good game"? The only player in recent time that's had that is Casper at Sheffield Wednesday, where they were going, "Oh, the number 24 ran the show." Nobody looks at our players.
But there's a lot of players that have not lost this season as well. Go on, Ben. Sorry.
This is going back to Fleming, Russell. Just had a quick look. In 261 appearances, that is throughout his career, under 19s, all the way to his senior football. How many assists in 261 games do you think Zian Fleming, the number 10, has got?
Not many at all. 20.
24.
Not even. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
24.
He's a goal scorer.
And literally here, I'm looking at, he got 27 goals for Fortuna, 19 for us. He got 14 in 27 appearances for Ajax under 19s. He got 13 in 25 for, I'm not even going to say that, NEC. So he's got to play further up the pitch for me.
Yeah, and I think look, I get it, because if he's having a bad run of form, I get the argument to drop him for a game or two. But this is the kind of player we need to hold on to and keep progressing. Honestly, that comment is something else, though, by the way.
I read it, thought it was something else, and then I realised what he was saying.
I agree with Mike, by the way. I agree with Mike. Savile.
Yeah, Sav. I mean, I am the founder member of the Savile fan club, but there is still an argument, and I'm sure we can come on to this, that as good as George Savile is, does he need to be playing in a certain system to be really, really effective? And are we playing in that system? I don't think we are. And I love the bloke. I won't have a bad word said about him. But in a two-man midfield, is it right?
In a two-man midfield, let's get this while you three boys are on as well, so I can sit there and think, mate. In a two-man midfield, who's your two players? Savile and Mitchell, or Savile De Norre, or De Norre and Mitchell?
De Norre,
Mitchell for me.
Yeah, me too.
I wouldn't even go with both of them.
Who would you go?
I would go De Norre and Leonard. I'd have Leonard in the midfield, and the reason for that is the fact that we're so open. Leonard can cover the ground and can get across and help try and shore up that space. Maybe Billy Mitchell can, because he's got the legs to do it.
He can
but...
too, I feel.
Say again.
I think he can too. Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah, Billy Mitchell possibly could, but I think Leonard is somebody that would make a difference in this side because he does cover a lot of ground quickly. But obviously,
I'd worry about Leonard covering ground and turning direction too much, get injured though.
Well, yeah, but we know he's been injured playing at centre back. He's been injured playing at right back. Look, maybe for the legs. But if you was to play a three-man midfield, then you would absolutely see the best out of George Savile, 100%.
I think at this stage of his career, he's just not a dynamic centre midfielder that Joe Edwards is going to want in a two-man midfield, right? I think he's, as you said, Stephen, in a three where he can sit there and I'm going to say almost do nothing, but just can protect that back four or whatever. That's where you're going to see the best of him now. I think now where, let's say, Edwards wants someone who's a bit more dynamic and athletic, it's not Sav now, is it?
No. I mean, Chris makes a point there. You know, Norton-Cuffy can't defend to save his life. We keep playing out of form players who play shit every week, i.e. Wallace. How does Danny Mack, and I agree with him, how does Danny Mack just not keep that right back? He's beyond with the, you know, if they want the winger, put it. No, listen, you smile.
I agree with you, mate. That's why.
You play Danny at right back. Danny plays well. It's when you fucking want him to do other things where he doesn't play well. Play him in the right back. You know that he's going to fucking go through players. Stick a winger in front who's got the forward passing. Then all of a sudden that side of it is covered.
I'm saying because if I start talking about Danny Mack, I'm going to get held of abuse from Ben. So who's always on mute.
We can ban Ben and put him in the fucking sin bin. So it don't matter about that one. Do you know what I mean?
On the Norton Cuffy thing, I think I said before, I'd have no problem with pushing him further forward and playing Danny.
100%. Yeah, that would work.
Norton Cuffy also did play further forward for Coventry. If Glenn's still in the chat, I'm almost certain he played right wing for him last year.
So,
well,
but the thing is that you venture on, then if you're sacrificed, I think Norton Cuffy's good going forward, but I don't think he's a winger. He's not a proper winger, I don't think either. So
he's got pace and directness. Yeah. I mean, and he can cover going backwards if he needs to. It's kind of my point. Where
I mean,
on that quote there, Mickey, and this is
from Bailey.
The question to you guys. It's Connor Chaplin, isn't it? The guy that Ipswich had. He scored there first and just basically ran the midfield and did whatever he wanted, to be honest. Could Zian Fleming do that in that Ipswich side, do you think?
Yes, for me, personally.
Ben?
I think they're too...
They're different type of players, but...
I think they're too athletic for him. Like, the way they play... Maybe it's just because he plays for us and he's in another side. But every team we seem to play, I mean, I said it in a group a million times, that everyone we play seems to be agile, athletic, can get around the pitch. That doesn't scream Fleming to me. Like, Chaplin still did that in that team.
I mean, Birmingham, John, it's weird, but we're a Millwall show and we've got Birmingham on, but he's again got a valid point there, though, isn't he, really?
Well, I've not seen enough Sarkic to actually judge him on his feet, by the way. So if John wants to give us some more intel, feel free to do so.
Was he at Birmingham? Was he?
Yeah, he was on loans Birmingham, got injured. Then he went to Stoke, got injured. He's come to Millwall, got injured.
So did he go to Stoke when Aldo was there?
Possibly.
No, he was at Stoke.
When did Aldo come back?
No, Aldo come back before because he was at Stoke
last year, wasn't he?
Yeah, last season. Yeah,
was Aldo February 22 then? He must have been February 22 he came out. Yeah. Okay, there you go.
Denori's a better player technically, being than Fleming personally. I don't know. I think they're both probably the same technical level. You can see that there's something about both of them. It's just I just don't think they're being played where they want to play, do they?
I think Denor's a good player, right? And I'm not for 1 second going to go against, because I think he's been our best player this season, right? But is Denor looking like a good player amongst an average bunch of footballers? Is there an argument to say that maybe...
argument for that, yeah.
Is there an argument there to say Denor looks good because the rest have been dreadful this year? There is something potentially
possibly,
there for that,
possibly. But would he look even better with better players around him?
Of course, but like, I buy the Denor hype, and I thought he was amazing at Sheffield Wednesday. He's been good on a lot of other games as well, but that is thought in my head like is hopefully he's a progressive signing, he's a good signing so far, but I don't want to get full steam ahead on that train just yet. I'm on the train, it's going, it's leaving the platform, but it's not quite got to full speed yet. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's a good player, but like let's not say he's our life and saviour for the next 10 years. Like
that quote.
I mean, Mike's got,
by the way.
Mike's got, his comment here is, and I put it to you boys. He says, I don't think the problem is the right hand side of our team is a major problem. It's down the left we have major issues, which is Wallace. But who would you have in left back or on that side? Who would be there? Because I mean.
The reason
just give Adam Malachi.
Yeah, I would.
Mazza's played so many games, Mickey, because we don't have anyone else. And again, I said this on our pre-record, didn't I, with you and Dan, that you've seen Malachi in and around the squad now. You've seen him on all the videos on Millwall TV, and he's still not getting a look in with Mazza playing as badly as he has been. So to me, that's across two managers. He's been there with Rowett, he's been there now with Edwards. It screams to me that he's clearly not ready. Otherwise, he would have played because Mazza has been awful. He's been brilliant for us, but he's been awful.
I think his physicality is maybe the issue there, maybe because he is quite a short player from what I've seen, and he's quick, good player. But is it maybe his physicality of championships too much for him at the moment, and maybe managers are thinking that?
And if anyone would know, it'd be Edwards. He's a youth coach. He would know if he could step up, right? And that's kind of what I'm thinking. He's clearly not ready for me.
Who's not ready?
Malachi.
Malachi.
Yeah, I think you're probably right there to a degree. I've lost the fucking. There we go. I think the players in our team, Denor, Fleming, etc., are dragged down by having to play with shit players. Pretty much what you said. What it combination play is Fleming meant to do with Murray Wallace overlapping.
Correct. That's my point as well. I feel like because Fleming at times last season, his goals, Stoke away is the one I keep going back to, but that was purely just Fleming unchallenged running through the field. Like there weren't many team goals. That I don't know. There's going to be a transitional stage here, but I think we will see the best of Fleming second half of the season.
Yeah, there we go. Adam Malachi needs to be eased in rather than dropped in the deep end.
That's what I was saying, though.
Leonard at left back.
That would be an option for me. But what I'm saying, without going back to the Adam Malachi bit, if you're going to do it when you've got a little bit of a buffer. Do it when you've got an opportunity to, because you can't just throw him in if we do drop further to the relegation zone, because then he really is under pressure.
Someone picks up on Watmore. I'm interested to see what kind of part he has to play in this side. Like, I think Watmore would suit this sort of team a little bit as well. I think he's got that kind of, been at Middlesbrough. He's been at good sides. I feel like he could be something that could be useful for us. But where do you feel all these players in is another question, I suppose, in the forward areas.
Well, we'll come on to that briefly before we end up tying up in about 10 minutes. So what would be your ideal formation and what would be your ideal starting 11 then, Omar? Not for against Sunderland, but what do you see?
What's our best 11?
Yeah, what's our best 11?
I've opened Football Manager and I'm picking my team, is what you're asking me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I think it's a 3-5-2. I think it is like it's going to be. It has to be a back three for the players we've got. So you got Sarkic in goal. I'd have Harding, Hutchinson and Cooper, but I don't really want Cooper on that left side centre half, but I don't want my Wallace either on current form. I'd have Norton Cuffy right wing back and not Danny Mack, I know. I'd have Joe Bryan left wing back, the Joe Bryan that we hope we've signed, but he's stuck in a coffee shop in Fulham somewhere. And then I'd have a midfield two of Saville and Denor. See, it's tricky. I think our best position is our midfield. Our best, the place where we're stacked with good players is the centre of the park. So you need to have bodies in the midfield. I'd have Denor, Saville, and Mitchell, and I'd have Fleming and Nisbet up front. 5-3-2 or 3-5-2. What are you going to look at?
Stephen?
I would go with a diamond.
Sorry, one sec, Stephen. One sec. Spencer's pointed out, forget about the team performance positions. Omar is on his second pod in a row.
Hello.
Spencer's a power by me. So yeah, he's one of my customers. So he's got you there, and he. So yeah, go on in, Stephen. Sorry, mate.
I would go with a diamond. I'd stick with 4 at the back. I don't personally. I'd actually go Sarkic in goal. I would probably go Danny McNamara at right back. I would go Harding and Cooper, the 2 centre halves. Joe Bryan at left back. At the sort of sitting in front of the back 4, the bottom of the diamond would be Ryan Leonard. The 2 in midfield would be Kasper and Sav. Up front, I would probably go Nisbet and Bradshaw. And probably the controversial one, the number 10, the cam position. You have to say Fleming, you really do. However, I am erring closer and closer to having SA start. But for now, it would be Fleming.
Okay. Ben, just before you do, I mean, get in on the chat, give us what you think your formation would be and your best 11. Get it in the chat.
Before you go to Ben, right, just to caveat my formation quickly changes if we sign Charlie Quezwell in January, and it goes 4-4-2 very quickly. Just the 2 centre halves with Cooper and Harding, it scares me. It honestly scares me. But if we had Charlie Quezwell there on the form of last season, that I'm hoping he still is, it changes very quickly to about 4. And Harding comes out.
I mean, on that, sorry, Ben, before we come to you, there was a couple of comments what I wanted to come to before we go into like the half break, would be: is it time to get Alec Mitchell back in January? And also, should we be looking at Creswell? Creswell and Alex Mitchell. Alex Mitchell could do our left back role, couldn't he?
Creswell's right-footed, but I think he's probably both-footed. Probably, I wouldn't surprise me if he could do a job.
Yeah, but
out
Creswell
there,
could do, or put Creswell centre and put Alex on the left, because he is a left back, isn't he?
We've got to play in Joe Bryan there somewhere, but let's not forget. But I mean, with Creswell, I think for me, it's just he offers that a lot of composure, and also he's an all-round centre half. I feel like as well, and he will suit the style play. And I know someone's saying we can't afford Creswell this week in the window, but I feel like a loan signing is definitely a shoe-in, surely, because he's not playing. He's just signed a 4-year deal, or whatever it is, at Leeds. It's a win-win for both sides. We get a short-term fix because we're never going to be able to afford to buy him on a permanent, I don't think. But we'll be able to play him, keep his value up for Leeds, and they'll be able to cash in on him in the summer, and we'll be able to benefit from that for half the season. I think that's a win-win all round.
And just before you do come in, Ben, just one more there for you to put in yours. But would you play Dinora as centre, a CDM, or further forward, even a number 10?
Not for me. I think he started out as a right back, didn't he, in Belgium? He's moved into centre midfielder. You're now asking to play. Get up. He might be able to play there. I don't know if it's worth putting him there, though. Would be my shout on that.
So, what would be your formation then, Ben? And
what
would be your best 11?
I'm with Oman. I'd go 3-5-2. I think. I haven't seen enough of Sarkic to make me think that he's better than Bart. And from what Bart's shown us this season, he's still the best keeper at the club. I'd have Lenny, Coops, and Hutch, Norton Cuffy right back, Joe Bryan left back. I'd play Mitchell, Denor, and Sav, and I'd play Fleming up front. And I've obviously gone with Nisbet.
Yeah. Question for you before we go to finalise. Question: has Edwards outed the players, or is he keeping his frustrations in the club through his post-match comments?
Well, I thought I was outing them.
I don't think the players could defend themselves either. I think that if they've got any begrudges about that on Wednesday, fucking hell, it was appalling. What was it? 3 attempts on goal all game, and it was shocking. The players don't have a leg to stand on if they get upset about what his comments were after the game.
100%.
You wouldn't have seen it, but they spoke. Matt Holland spoke about it in the studio on Sky, and they were quite. He was surprised. He was like, he said that now for 2 games on the spin, 3 games into his Millwall tenure. So he was like, when you start questioning desire, heart, basics, he was like, that's as bad as it gets for a professional footballer.
Yeah, I think the players have no leg to stand on though after Wednesday. Saturday may be different. Again, mistakes were made, but that's why I played back 3 like Ben has. Like our centre halves, I don't know. There's no legs in that back line aside from Wes Harding, and that's it.
I mean, again, John, there as a neutral, massive change of style is a huge risk. We found out iconically with Rowett and Zola. Listen to the last few. Thanks. Yep. No, I don't know. And so yeah, let's go back to some of the players we can't afford.
What's interesting as well
Sardic.
about that?
Sorry,
Ben, I didn't know that. I obviously didn't see the comments from Hollands, and I only saw the interview from Edwards when I'd got back later on that evening. It's interesting that it is a bit of a problem that he's saying it 3 games into his tenure as manager. But if any neutral fan was watching us on Wednesday, they would have. Most clubs would have been licking their lips to be playing us at the moment. Absolutely, every Sunderland fan. I think Sunderland have got a few issues of their own. They're not playing how
they've got no strikers.
They're struggling in that kind of area. But honestly, if Sunderland fans were watching us, they're coming to the Den tomorrow thinking, well, their manager's telling the world that the players have not got the heart and the desire that they need to. On the pitch, half their players can't run. So, we've got an opportunity if we can find a way of makeshift striker. Say again?
The future's bright. The future's on.
I thought what was interesting though about all our formations is we've all gone for a front 2. And I think on Wednesday that wasn't a thing, and I feel like we saw that there was no. A Millwall side needs has 2 strikers, and we fit in both ways there with what we did, and I think that needs to be something that hopefully Edwards knows and identifies, because I think actually Wednesday Fleming was a second striker. It felt like at times, and I think that needs to be something that, you know, we push on with and try to incorporate into whatever we do going forward. But who am I to say that when, you know, the head coach is the next Chelsea boy that's going to have an idea of playing a good style football?
I mean, what gets me here is that Ben didn't choose Bradders in his team, even though he wants to defend him every week in, week out. And then Mark Murphy's basically sat there and said, Bart, Brian, Cooper, Harding, Danny, Leonard, Denor, Watmore, Savs, and Bradders and Nesbitt up front.
I'm not proud enough to admit when you need a change, Mickey, and that at the minute is now, right? And in all seriousness, the way we're playing, the thing is with Bradders is exactly what Joe Edwards says. He's great, he gets around the pitch, he's great, he's hard working, but it's not only that, he needs to hold the ball up better for us now. And there's so many times the other night against a good side in Ipswich, it went forward, came back, went forward. You've got to fucking keep hold of the ball when they're dominating it as much as they were. And it's just, yeah, I don't see enough of that from him at the minute. We give him the benefit of the doubt in terms of the change in play styles, and it was always gone up to him in the air. Now I need to see him hold it up better.
Does Callum have a point there? We've never really seen the front three of Fleming behind Bradders and Nesbitt. Something I would definitely want to see how it plays out, although I prefer a formation with wingers, but our wingers aren't great.
That's why I said the diamond, because we don't have proper wingers. We don't. Amaku isn't a winger. He's just got pace. Honeyman isn't a winger. Longman is absolutely woeful. Duncan Watmore's not a winger. That's why if you're going to play, for me, if you're going to play to your strengths, Omar touched on it. Our strongest area is our midfield. That's where we have the best players, really, or the players that can probably get us out of trouble. That gives you three in midfield, really, in Leonard, Sav, and Denor to try and help. Obviously, so they've got to get forward as well, but then you would have, again, I may be contradictory saying, but if you have Fleming or Esse and Bradshaw and Nisbet, you've actually got three attacking players that will play close together, and you might get the best out of them.
If only we kept Tyler Bury, right? Cool. What player would he have been on Edwards?
And Ollie Bird.
Mike has a valid point. My formation for tomorrow is Bart and then 10 buses parked in front of goal. I'll be happy with a point. And Amaku is a victim of the goal against Middlesbrough. I'm sure Edwards thinks Esse is that good. If he was, he would have started on Wednesday. Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, people were talking about Amaku coming off. It was Amaku coming off when it at half time, but I think it was speaking to you boys. I can't remember which one I was speaking to, but I think Amaku come off because I think Edwards believed that we were potentially going to get spanked, and what I think he didn't want to do was have Amaku on for the whole game and potentially our fans turn on him, get him off. If we got spanked like we potentially thought we were going to, then he wouldn't have necessarily took that abuse. But hey, I think we talked about the formations and everything else. I think we're going to split for something completely different for a second, and then we're going to come back where we will be talking about Sunderland and just really look about that and some other bits and pieces. So anyway, lads, what I want to do first is I want to show you something what was floating around the other day on social medias. This lad is a lad called Freddie. I think it's McCone. His name is. He's 11 years old. He's not 12 till next year. The game I'm just about to show you is a game against Arsenal. It's a game that when this goal was scored, they were 3-0 down. Millwall were 3-0 down. The game finished 6-4. But this lad's 11 and this lad's about 4'0". A little bit about him, I suppose. That game was against Arsenal. It was a Cat 1 game. So obviously our Millwall youngsters are playing some good teams. That was their first loss all year. It was a 6-4 loss. Obviously, that goal come 3-0 down, which shows great composure of, the kids to be 3-0 down and still score goals like that. In fact, that goal he won goal in a month for. So, not a bad goal to get an award for. Teddy signed for Millwall when he was under nines playing at defence. And then the end of this time last year, they decided to stick him a little bit forward. So from Christmas to the end of the season, last season, he scored 45 goals. This season so far, he's basically scored 15 goals. So he was a defender. They moved him centre mid, and then they moved him more up front. And then obviously at centre mid, he was scoring all those goals. I mean, 45 goals ain't a bad, because there's some good players in that league, and especially if he's small, when you've got big kids. So the thing is a quote his dad gave me was basically, is a Terry Hurlock type player with a Teddy Sheringham brain. And, that's...
Came in the first team.
I was going to say, what's he doing tomorrow?
That's it.
Get a GoFundMe going for a pair of boots and a kit, and we'll stick him up front tomorrow.
I think we should sponsor him, to be fair, mate. But yeah. Do you know what I mean? But Teddy's journey, he's trying to highlight his journey across socials. He's on Instagram. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to post up his account now, and there's a QR code on there, and you can basically just scan that code. If you can give him a follow, don't panic. It's not his account. It's not an 11-year-old boy's account. His mum and dad run the account, so I'm not getting you to follow kids' accounts. I'll check that out first. His dad runs the account, and it's just a way of being able to follow, catch his goals, catch his progress. Realistically, he's 11 now. Potentially in another 5-6 years' time, if he carries on the path he's on, potentially we could see him being played at the Den, when you think we've had 16, 17-year-olds play at the Den. So if you want to follow Teddy, scan the QR code what's on the screen now. Get him some followers. Just follow his journey. I mean, most of us follow complete trash on social. So give him a follow. Make his day. Just follow his journey, really. He is one of ours in the early stages. So, yeah. But again, that goal was... I thought, your boys' view on the goal, I thought it was a good goal, really. Considering they were 3-0 down, they seemed to show a bit more heart than our first team, to be fair, against Ipswich.
Brilliant finish. Yeah.
Great finish, and good luck to him.
Exactly that.
Let's just hope he don't bugger off to Rangers when he's 16 years old. We've heard that story before.
There you go. Look, there you go. Teddy McCone. Is it McCone? I'd say McCone. Would you say McCone? I can't pronounce anything, so yeah. Right then, gents. On to Saturday, on to tomorrow. We've got the furthest team for an away day coming down to us from the Stadium of Light. They are not in the best of form at all at the moment. Their last games have been a loss, a draw, a win, a loss, a win. They do seem to not being able to score goals without having the strikers, and seem to be suffering a bit. What do you feel about tomorrow?
Ooh, good question, mate. I think it's a good time to play them. They lost midweek, didn't they? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, they did, because they cost me my bet.
But there's no strikers. But Jack Clark is he injured then? Is that what it is, or because Clark is a winger, but he's their top goal scorer?
Well, there was a comment from the Birmingham fella who turned around and said that. He said Sunderland are all about Jack Clark.
Correct.
Keep him quiet, and you'll have a chance. Allow him time and space, and he will be there. A
quick read online. I think he's on 9 goals a season, their top goal scorer, and he is the main man. I think he had a hot start to the season, and I think keeping him quiet. I think he normally plays on the left, if I'm not mistaken. It'll be a tough game. I think that's it. Like we talk about our fullbacks. It depends on what Joe goes for, what Edwards goes for. I think he's got to go back to back 4 personally. 2 strikers, and it is going to be one of those where we try and make them worry about us, but it's that whole fear, that counter-attacking fear. They're going to have a threat going forward. They've got pacey players, wingers that are going to cause trouble. It's going to be a tough afternoon for us. I have no doubts about that. But if we can get an early goal, then who knows what's around the corner for us. But yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest, mate, going into that one tomorrow.
just to add to further, and we all know what this means. They haven't actually won away from home in the league since September.
Oh, Ben. Stephen, what are you doing?
Stephen, when have you learned? You know that every time you do this, they haven't won since this. And then
I know exactly what I'm doing. I don't know
if you do.
No, I do know exactly, because let's face it, all these teams that you said they haven't got a striker, they come out of form, they're not this, that, and the other. It does at the moment. It doesn't seem to matter, who's turning up and who's available. What I hope, similar to what Omar said, but just to elaborate a little bit more, I expect a reaction. I expect our players to take the defeat on Wednesday. Saturday, I can not understand. I don't want to get beat 3-0 at home, but it wasn't a 3-0 game for me. It really, really wasn't. It was a bit closer than that. Wednesday, we were completely outplayed, completely, dismantled and made to look absolutely woeful. The players need to react to that, and the fans need to, the fans need to see a reaction. Whether it comes or not, I don't know, but certainly that's what I'm expecting.
I think the last time we lost more than 2 on the bounce, it was probably January when Rowett had that spell, wasn't it? Where we was all kind of going, is this it for Rowett? But we're normally a reactionary team. Like, we do bounce back and we do have that kind of performance in us. That's the only thing going for us tomorrow, I feel like, because it's going to be a tough day. They've got injuries, so okay, it's a good time to play them, whatever you want to say with that and the cliches. But one thing I will say about our squad is normally we bounce back, but we'll have to see. Is Joe Bryan available tomorrow, guys? Anyone said anything, by the way?
No idea. The other thing with Sunderland as well is that their support, they're probably sold out that away end. They're going to be up for it, as they always are wherever they go.
E-I-E-I-O.
But our crowd, I know that the players need to give them something to get behind, but if it could feel like a bloody away game if their supporters are up and ours ain't.
I don't want to go talk about the Den now, but it is.
We've lasted an hour before it's come on.
Can we talk about the Den at the end?
Yeah, please.
Because otherwise, I'll go on a rant and we'll just do it at the end. It'll be easier. So yeah, carry on.
But I just
Gary, thanks for finish tomorrow, mate.
I have I never ever go into games thinking that we're going to get beat, especially at home. But it's really, really testing me this week to think that it's going to be anything other than that.
Wow, 34 points in the last 30 games.
That's poor, isn't it?
Need a massive freshen up.
We'll probably just stay up on that. But we'll probably just stay up on that form, though.
Is that really?
I was going to say,
in 30 games? Ben or Stephen, do you want to fact check that?
Our form nosedive, though, didn't it, towards the end of last season? So that could be plausible. That sounds plausible to me.
Alan Flower, don't panic. I'm not skipping your comments. I will put them up, but I'll put them up in a minute because both your comments there are a point what I want to raise in a little bit. So don't panic. I'm not thingy. We've had just a quick one on that. We've had a couple of comments this week from different fans asking, do we post all the comments or do we just take the comments and not post them as if they're our own comments? Anything you put on the comments, as long as they're not slanderous, then they will be shared. And as much as I know fuck all about football, I'm not going to pretend that one of your comments is mine. I might do that in our private chat, but I wouldn't do that on the screen. Any of your comments there, but like tomorrow or something, if there was a good comment, I might reuse it in our personal WhatsApp chat because then it makes me look a little bit more intelligent in front of my peers. But other than that, no. Any comment you posted.
What's going on there?
It all went. Oh, Mickey, that is a flattering screenshot as well, isn't it?
I thought it was me for a second.
Yeah, like, we all just stood there like.
Well, Mickey's gone because his intelligence, I guess, blew up his computer. So we'll carry on with the show. Go on, Ben. What are you hoping for tomorrow, mate? You haven't really said too much just yet.
Look, I don't know. Honestly, I really don't know. I haven't seen too much of Sunderland this year to comment on where they're at. They obviously got beat midweek. They're going to want a reaction. We need a massive reaction. The thing that concerns me the most is probably Tony Mowbray is a very good manager, and I see a similar Coventry type performance where they're just going to let us have loads of the ball, that sort of thing. That's the only thing that concerns me. But look, we need a reaction. It can't get any worse than midweek. I hope Edwards has got stuck into them. And if we done predictions, or are we waiting for predictions?
Probably do that a little bit, I suppose, I guess. But I think MFC 885 was right there. When there's hope and anticipation, we always get let down by Mill. But when there's back against the wall, that's normally when you back us to come back. And it's what I think me and you saying that, Stephen, is, like we bounce back in these sort of games, don't we? It feels like.
We do. I'm just gonna the fact check. It is 34 points in our last 30 games. I have just looked that up. It is. We've got 20 this season from 18, and we picked up 14 from our last 12 last season. So not that we didn't think you were telling the truth, whoever it was that put that comment up, but that just seems shocking. But it is actually true. Yeah, and to go back, Omar, we do. When you go not expecting much, we tend to pull sort of a rabbit out of the hat. Harris was able to do it, Rowett was able to do it, and let's hope that Joe Edwards can follow suit. But as I said earlier, it's really difficult to think about 3 points at this point.
It's not quite like a Tuesday when me and Ben and Dan were doing a show and we started talking about Ipswich, and then then to basically talk ourselves into knowing what the result will be. Didn't deter me from going there, Ben, did it? But yeah,
it was never going to. But there was a genuine fuck. Is that actually how it goes? We haven't got that with Sunderland, which is a nice thing. But I would guarantee whoever their centre forward is going to have fucking a happier time than he has recently.
Yeah, they don't scare me tomorrow, Sunderland. Like, I think their start of season form, if they were still playing as they were then I would feel more worried about tomorrow. Yeah. I'm more worried about ourselves and what we're going to do and turn up. And that's it. Like, Wednesday was worrying about Ipswich, but I think today it's more forget Sunderland for a second. What are we going to do? And I feel like we're going to bounce back.
Do you anticipate Edwards making changes to combat the performance from Wednesday?
I think someone said get Cooper back in, and I think that's a must.
I think whether formation changes or personnel, do you think he'll go maybe wholesale personnel changes? Do you think he'll go for a formation change?
That could be quite telling, I suppose, especially after his comments, right? I mean, I think so. There'll be some changes, I think, surely. I don't know what you think, Stephen.
I can't imagine the manager can come out and question that the players are not doing the basics and then go and pick the same 11 again. I can't see that. I can't see a world where we would get away with that. I wouldn't make wholesale changes. Like I wouldn't make sort of 6-7 or something ridiculous like that. But I certainly would expect there to be 3, maybe 4.
Who would they be for you, do you think? Or who would you Leonard back in?
Yeah, has to.
Yeah, Leonard. I think Leonard's got to play. I think Cooper's got to play. I think Nisbet deserves an opportunity to play. And it's really, really harsh because I'm not blaming him whatsoever. But after Wednesday and we've already previously spoke about him, I don't think we can see a Mako out wide. And I'm not getting on his back. I'm really not, because I don't think he's a winger. But after being taken off after 45 minutes and perhaps not really getting into the game, I think he'll be one that potentially will drop to the bench.
Roman Essay maybe to get the opportunity tomorrow?
I think someone else mentioned Essay earlier and said similar thing to what I was saying about Malachi. Like, as in,
if he's good enough,
where what's going on? Why is he not even getting minutes off the bench? Like we saw him for 10 minutes against Sheffield Wednesday, 15 minutes against Sheffield Wednesday, whatever it was. Do you think there's something going on there? Do you think Edwards has seen him maybe not do the other side of the attacking play that he wants him to do? Do we think it's just nothing?
I think how like I've doubled down on Fleming, and it's more like when you watch Fleming play and you watch him pass the ball. I think Essay's got that same thing about him. Like there's that it catches the eye. So I think I don't know why he hasn't got the opportunity under Edwards just yet. I think he will tomorrow, hopefully. But yes, it does beg the question why. But I think it might be the physicality as well, I suppose, with him, because But then if he's playing England under 19s and getting games consistently at that level, he's surely good enough to get a game and an opportunity to play for us.
But is it because the players around him aren't good enough for him?
Well, then maybe you've got our 21s keep winning games week in, week out, and they won the regional division last year. If they're that good at that level, I think we've got to try and get them in. But that's not going to come from the manager. That's got to come from above, saying we've got to get these kids in. And that's like he said in his first conference as manager, his first interview. He said, "I want to get these young players in if they're good enough to play." So I don't know. Now's the chance, I suppose. If after criticising the players like he did on Wednesday,
yeah, made, wasn't there, about understanding what they need to do off the ball with Edwards when that interview when he was talking about the youngsters and getting them in, right? And mate, is it that? Are we just not in a position where, because the big thing again, we've mentioned it a few times, is what we're doing on the ball and the changes we're trying to implement. We are going fucking gung-ho press as well. Let's not forget that. You got to be fit. You got to work hard off the ball to make it work. Because if, again, I tweeted and said, if you have one or two players that aren't fully in on the press, it falls apart. It doesn't work.
Can I just on that? And I agree 100%. Off the ball work is as important as on the ball. But again, it might sound like I'm absolutely crucifying the guy, and he is starting to really get on my nerves. But what does Ian Fleming do off the ball that is so good, or so that keeps him in the side, that SA couldn't do?
Yeah, no, I agree.
Realistically, and that this is the thing. Like, we're talking about on and off the ball. So on the ball, Fleming's not doing much. Off the ball, he doesn't do much. Where's Romain Essa? I actually think Fleming's gone off a couple of times. He went off last Saturday. He went off during the week. I don't think it's very long before Joe Edwards perhaps starts to get to that point of going, hold on a minute, I'm going to give someone else a chance, because we didn't see Fleming come off that often under Rowett, especially when he wasn't winning the game. So I think it's getting closer for SA.
Here we go, gents. Right, Born Free, Die Free, who tunes in every week, has got a question for you, and I'll put it to you, all of you, and see what's what. I know that two of you have probably already seen it in the chat.
I don't want to answer it, to be honest, at this point.
Honest answers, gents, but based on the current form, if Rowett didn't drop Bart for Butterfingers long, would we have gone up? I believe last year was our best chance.
Can I change the question slightly?
It's playoffs.
Go on.
Playoffs.
Yeah.
Playoffs. For me, playoffs, yeah.
I don't know about going up, but I agree. We would have made the top six with Bart on current foot. The way he's playing at the moment, we would have made the top six.
But hang on, because Long kicked the ball really far and really quick, like we was loads of counter attacks, weren't it, guys? That was what everyone was saying last year. And I doubled down this last year as well. I didn't see it Long. And like performances like a whole away. I don't want to talk about it, Mickey. I'm over it. Let's not talk about it. Let's move on.
Can I just say, move on? No, we will move on. I would just say, just to trigger the YouTube algorithm. Norwich City fans, we fucking warned you before you signed him, and now you've got him, and hopefully you will go right the way down the table and get into the bottom, and then fucking disappear into obscurity with your crazy chef owner, and that'll be the long way for you.
Even his namesake is, saying we made it last season, but you know what I mean, Colin Long. Do you know what I mean? If Colin Long's saying it, he shares the name with him. We would definitely have made the playoffs last year.
No, that's it.
All I think about when I hear that people talk about Barton last season, all I think about is that goal that I think it was Jukovic scored for Birmingham at our end. Last year we lost 1-0 at the Den in a midweek game, and there's just no way that Bart lets that in. There's just no way.
So many of them. Holloway as well sticks to the memory. Yeah. Like I said, it just aggravates me because from distance, George Long is just the most incapable goalkeeper I've ever seen in my life. And he's a professional goalkeeper.
Oh, it's baffling.
Still time. There is. Thanks for that, Dave. Thanks for bringing that one back up. I'm still going with it. And by the way, no E in my name, but that's fine. Still time for Nesbitt. I think he'll still score 20-odd goals. So yeah. Third goal Norwich conceded against Watford was typical Long, pushed out a soft long-range shot onto a rushing striker. Not
Another
very Russian. but
Another thing
Russian.
about Millwall, this is another thing about Millwall is so 2 strikers, but the goalkeeper needs to be a shot stopper. He can still play out and do all the pretty stuff, but he needs to be a shot stopper. I'm talking Dave Ford, I'm talking Tony Warner, I'm talking goalkeepers that can make shots and because they say shots that they shouldn't get to, but because they're good at from long range. Because we allow so many long shots. I'm intrigued to see what our stats would be, especially under Arrow with the long shots we allow on goal, because you need to be a shot stopper at Millwall, and George Long's like that. George Long's like that.
And also, Kevin
I have to
Nisbet's on
say-
3 goals for the league, Mickey. So
Yeah,
just
that's all right. That's all right. It's 20,
yeah.
I said 25 to be fair, mate. So yeah, he's bang on. There's a question for you. Would you who's the better keeper, Jordan Archer or George Long?
Oh, Jordan Archer, 100%.
And do you know?
100%.
Do you know? I would pick Jordan Archer for 2 reasons. One reason I can say on air, and one reason which will fall us into the other one, which I'll tell you off. Yeah, you do. Yeah.
I know.
But the one I can say on air is, who was it? Hutch or was it?
It was Beavers, at home to Peterborough. I don't know how I remember that so well, but there you go.
Yeah, and that save was superb, and then
and also
Wembley.
His save at Wembley, yeah, that save from I think it was Clark, wasn't it, who ran through?
Yeah. That was literally my rationale as well, because of that save at Wembley. That's the sole reason why I pick him. Exactly agree with you, Bailey. Like, because of that at Wembley, they're both shit, but Archie gets a nod over Long for that. Long never won us games. I think there was maybe one game he played well last year that I remember walking out thinking, cool, he won us the game. But there wasn't many games where you thought, oh, George Long was impeccable today, and that's the reason we got the points. You could count probably over 3 pairs of hands about Bart, I would say, winning us games, especially 2-3 years ago. Like, Bart is a match winner. He's a shot.
I would put Long in the same category as fucking Dave Martin, a useless fucking no good cunt who fucking puts the ball in her own net like he did at fucking Brighton.
That came up the other day. I saw someone post about it or somewhere. I can't remember who, someone on Twitter.
It comes up every so often, doesn't it? Someone revives it. You just look at that. Oh.
So then, gents, question then from Connor: who's going to start tomorrow? Danny Mack or Cuffy, Nesbitt or Bradshaw?
All right, I'm the Danny Mack fan club, but he gets his opportunity tomorrow. Surely he gets.
I think he's injured though. He's injured.
Is he not back yet? Is he not back or?
I don't think he was in the squad he wasn't last weekend. I don't know if he was back on Wednesday.
If he's fit, I think he gets his opportunity. QPR winning, by the way, guys, as well. That's what the chat saying. Start looking down. I think for me, if Danny Mack's fit, he gets his opportunity tomorrow. And I'd love to see Nisbet and Bradshaw get a chance. I think we saw it once in pre-season. I want to see the pair get a chance.
Long was a solid shit. Archer was diarrhea. I love our fans.
Is there a perk to diarrhea over? I don't want to go there. Actually, let's move on.
You know what I love is that we get all the results. Like a couple of them now going winning, worrying. If QPR win, does that bring them out the bottom 3?
No, but I think there's 7 points behind us before today, so they're 4 points behind us. If they win.
Oh, okay. The only reason I asked
that is the worry.
I had to turn off my other laptop because my Wi-Fi kept thingy, which is great that 2 of you signed in as main host. That means that at least if I drop out, it still carries on, which is great.
Mate. You're welcome.
Do you think Waddy will get a look in next season, seeing as they warm him up before games and he's not even on the bench?
He's been playing a lot for the 21s recently, I've seen. And by all accounts, been playing quite well. I mean, we'll see.
Who's that? The Chelsea lad, isn't it?
Yeah, he's the one that wears the Petr Cech hat. I don't know why he wears that. I still need to find that out. Why does he wear that?
I don't know. It's the one that some people say
theory.
Shit. So yeah. But anyone who's in says he's shit. But yeah, hey ho, it is what it is. Yeah, Danny still is injured still. I have a geezer at work called Dave Martin, and I've ended up resenting him due to that West Ham prick chucking those goals in.
Yeah,
quite agree.
And then he went on to play for West Ham and fucking do well for them, didn't he?
Maku is a striker.
Yes.
Edward said Danny Mack is fit. Danny Mack. Play Maka in the position he'll perform. So yeah, so out to you guys then on the order. Who would you be, Danny Mack or Cuffy? It was Cuffy, wasn't it?
Mhm.
And Bradshaw or Nesbitt. Who would you want on those? So yeah, get them in there for me. Long Costa's playoff points, definitely. We're in a relegation battle. Do you think we're in a relegation battle yet?
Yes.
QPR hold on tonight, yeah.
Yes.
And also, sorry, just QPR's next 3 games are Hull, Plymouth, and Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah, but Plymouth ain't going to be easy. And Sheffield Wednesday drew with fucking Leicester on Wednesday.
Hull are very good. Don't get me wrong. That one's not too bad. But the Plymouth, they play Plymouth at home and they go to Sheffield Wednesday. We all know how bad they are. It's
yeah, but you can't say that. You say Sheffield Wednesday is really bad, but they drew with Leicester on Wednesday, and Leicester are top of the fucking league. You can't make a comment like that and go, "Oh yeah, they're shit," but they drew with the top of the league.
Yeah, but Mick, they've also lost to virtually everybody else.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. They still drew.
But it does.
And they beat us. Well, they didn't beat us, did they? No. Yeah,
this QPR I've seen on the telly, by the way, is nothing like the QPR sort of start of the season. It's actually a bit terrifying to see. We are in a relegation. We are in a relegation fight. I think it's get to 50 points as soon as possible now. That's what. But the thing is, it's like, do you double down on what Edwards is doing and keep trying to play that style of play? That's the real question. Or do you try to get results? It's only been 3 games. I think let's not overreact. I think he needs more time. Let's implement some more. We've got the result at Sheffield Wednesday. If he wins tomorrow, someone say he gets 50% win rate. Let's think about that. You know what I mean? So let's hold on to the positives.
No, that's it. I want to get those 2 comments what I put up earlier. Where are they? I can't find them now. John Flowers, is it not John Flowers? Christopher Flowers said, I think it was. Do you think that it's the scout we had with he said something about, I can't find it now, fuck's sake. He said something about oh well, go on. You discuss what you're going to say, and then I'll find it in 2 secs. Anyone want to come in? Go.
I'm just looking at Huddersfield are away at Swansea tomorrow. Not that I'm looking at teams that are around us already, but Huddersfield are away at Swansea. Who have Plymouth got?
That's the thing, isn't it? We're 18 games in, and we're potentially looking at other fixtures at the minute. And it's not a dig at Edwards. It's really not, because I think he's obviously inherited the squad. It's the state of the squad is more the issue here. That's why we are where we are. Let's face it. Gary Rowett put the squad together and performed miracles. Maybe he knew their time was coming to an end.
There you go. Look, step forward, the Alex Aldridge assembled squad. Leaderless, widthless, wingerless, gutless.
Well, depends how you look at that. I mean, who was Gary Rowett, the one that identified the Nor in the summer window? I'm not sticking off Aldo, but at the same time, you don't know the ins and outs, I suppose, of what happens at the club and who we go for. It's an interesting question, though. Interesting point.
He raised another interesting point, but I can't fucking find it. So yeah,
it's going to be interesting moving forward on that if we think Aldo is the one that's fully driving that, because Edwards is going to want to come in and sign certain players, right? So surely, if Aldo's identifying the players, Edwards wouldn't have come in and said, "I need to change 5 or 6 or however many he thinks we do," but let Aldo pick them. Surely.
God knows. I mean, this is what gets me about Aldo. It's like I'm not saying the director of football or director of whatever operations he is nowadays, whatever job title they give to people at the club nowadays, whatever. When another club sees Alex Aldridge ring them, do they think and go, "Oh, let's pick up that phone and this is a good." He's not a contact within the game, is he? His background is journalism. It's like it does beg the question. For me, it should be someone that's got, let's further that at QPR, for example. They sign a lot of talented players because he has the contacts in the game and leads to certain deals. I feel like you look at Aldo, and it's like, come on.
Question for you.
Who's going to loan us players because they're going to look at his skis and go, "Who the fuck are you?"
Question for you. You've got a phone call, or Millwall interested. You go into a meeting, and you got Aldo is basically tapping you up for your player, would you let your player go there, or would you basically look at potentially elsewhere?
Well, no, there's more to it than just that. But my point is his job is to make the first contact. It feels like, if I'm not mistaken, it's like he has no pulling weight in the game amongst them sort of bodies. Surely not. I could be completely wrong. Maybe he's very well respected in that circle, but surely, like, you know, compare it to other directors of footballs out there, like, you know, the names that are out. I mean, he doesn't really make his name for himself either, Aldo. Like, he's only known in the Millwall headquarters. Like, I could tell you Stuart Webber, I could tell you about other people that run other clubs and stuff like that. You know, you look at us as like Aldo. Like, do you think other clubs know about Aldo? Probably not.
Even Gillingham have Kenny Jackett as
Correct.
their director of football, and at that level, he's going to know so many managers, and he's worked at 3 or 4, including us, clubs. You know, no surprise Conor Mahoney's there, really, is it? I know Harris had a say in that before he was shown the door, but I think you're right. I think there is a lot to be answered for. It's Aldo's job, as you say, one, to make the first contact, but also sell the prospect of the club to the person that he's on the phone to or email, however it works, the meeting. Is he the right person for that? I don't know, but we don't really know what goes on.
But Joe Edwards will carry a name, though. Joe Edwards will carry a name, though. That's to get.
Oh yeah, 100%. But he is probably the biggest name. I mean, that's an honest question. And again, I really don't know. I mean, I think he was instrumental in Aldo coming back because he gets on really well with Aldo. So I mean, I don't know that question. Richard Lacey's question. Yes, he's gone. The question is really, and it's what you were saying now, Omar, is who carries the most power right now in the club with probably the black book? Is it Aldo or Joe Edwards? Because I personally think the reason they went for Joe Edwards is that they're not going to have to spend millions or, you know, ploughing loads and loads of money for players in January. They're going to look at loans or look at youth kids who aren't necessarily getting a shoe in the clubs they're in, and they're probably going to be able to get them for next to nothing, fairly cheap. And I think that's what the method or what the thinking was around getting Joe Edwards in over someone like Eusted or Jones. But even Eusted or Jones with his current squad, I don't think they would have got him to perform either.
I think Eustace might have got him out of us because he's a similar sort of manager to Rowett, but that's not full thinking in the way that the club want to go. It's a different direction change, and this is a backing. You know, he's got a full backing of Berylson quite clearly on this. You know, with Edwards.
100%.
But I think also Edwards would have used that as his niche to get the job. Edwards would have been like, look, I've got all these contacts in football. I've worked at Chelsea. I've worked England on the 19s. I know X, Y. England on the 20s. I know X, Y, and Z. So you know. That's obviously what we're using to his strength, and we will be utilising that shortly because you look at Forest with Steve Cooper. That's how they got promoted. They had 5 or 6 loan players and skyrocketed up the Championship, didn't they, when he went there? So that's the dream. We'll see if we can get to January, still be in touch, or where we end up, because it's a tough run to Christmas. It always is, but that's why I don't want to reinvent the wheel too quickly. But we're in now, and we've got to double down on it. I feel like
that, Alex, is a fucking insult to a degree, mate, because even I would say even in Aldo's lifetime, he couldn't even get into a shadow of what Bob Pearson was.
He said that's worried at the end, so I think he agrees with you, to be fair. But yeah, he is in that similar role. I think Bob Pearson was more of an advisory, wasn't he? But
more of a scout, wasn't he?
Yeah,
I mean, some of the players what Bob Pearson brought in were Thingy Fordy and people like that, wasn't it?
Neil Harris was the main one.
Neil Harris, Paul Ifill,
Richard Sadlier,
Robbie Ryan. Loads and loads and loads. You could probably sit there and go through. Yeah, Pearson had more talent in his little finger than Aldo. Well said.
Yeah, Alex said it was just about the role he plays. But yeah, similar.
Edward picks and trains with the team. He should be telling Aldo, this is what I want out. I'll tell you what we should have is that whoever the attacking coach is for that under 12 team on Millwall, we should have him in the first team.
just to tackle Chris's comment, Chris, the one just come in there, but it's Edwards picks and trains with the team, but the club and this is the worrying part, Aldo and the club come up with a vision. This is how, because we've always gone with the manager's choices, which is why we ended up with Scott Malone, Mason Bennett, Ryan Woods. These were all Gary Rowett players. Now it's let's shift that, and this is how we're going to be signing players to fit the club going forward, because they're not naive now. Football managers don't stay 5 years anymore or 4 years. If Edwards is here for 3 years, I'll be very surprised. It's just how it is in football nowadays. So now it's about the club signing players that fit the club, not the manager and the playing style, but this is how they want to play. So they've got to be agreed with it as a club as a whole. That's how it is nowadays.
And those of you who are listening now and thinking, who is that fellow who's talking so much sense next to me? Well, if you go back to the early shows, you'd see him on every week. And if you go back to those early shows where he actually was on every week back at the beginning of time before we got so many people, he used to call week in, week out, that we need a different approach to our team.
Now. We're there.
And now we're there, which again proves that. Good evening, Steve Kavanagh. Good evening, Aldo. Good evening, everyone else within Millwall.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because you're right. This is what it is now, though. And it's the whole backing the manager and letting the manager pick his players and go to look for their black book. Yeah, okay, if it fits with what we're doing, we'll sign them. But if it doesn't fit, that's when the club needs to be like, we're not signing these players. And it's the modern way of how football's gone nowadays. But that's going that way.
On that, do you think we've got the infrastructure and the scouting network and the analysts behind it to make it work like other clubs have? Brentford obviously changed their whole structure into that Moneyball way of running the club. Brighton, well documented, they've gone through a whole way of recruiting through analysis and hiring a lot of analysts and all that sort of thing, and algorithms. Do we think we're clever enough as a club or have the infrastructure behind it to support a change in this is how we're going? I
think they're clearly trying to grow it. That's for sure. The training ground and stuff as well. Off the pitch, they're getting there and they're trying to get the infrastructure in place. But also, I think that's why also the 21s are doing so well, because there's been a lot of investment in there. And now the direction's got to be play these youngsters, I think. I know, I saw the comment. I'm just rising above it. Don't worry.
Don't worry. We will try and get him on regular, but unfortunately,
he's not.
He is the coach. To be fair, Bailey, it's me and him.
I'm the co-founder of the show.
Me and him what fucking founded this a few years ago.
Friday Night Live was my idea in lockdown, so you're welcome, everyone. Yeah, but
thanks for joining us.
but now it's like you've got these young players. I think there needs to be a direction from the club saying, play these youngsters. Let's see if they're worth anything. Because if Esse's worth 5 million and we sell him after a season playing in the Championship, you can reinvest that. That's what we've got to do as a club.
The problem that I see, right, and I'll come to your comment in a sec, Jack, and Tom Clark in a second. The problem is I think all this analysis and all this data around the players is going to change shortly, because at the moment all this data and everything else is there, and you've got all the big data sites trying to get key components of that data, so sprinting, how much times you run, etc. And at the moment, so I've heard for a few people who are within the stat business, is that the problem is that the players want paying for it. They're saying it's personal data and they want paying for it. And obviously the clubs want paying for it, and the players. And that's why a lot of the stat companies and all that. And I think that, it will be a point at some point where potentially they lose those vests they have for all the data,
Mickey,
because no one's going to want to pay.
You inquired before to Y-Scout or someone. Was it like 30 grand a year for the subscription fee for it? The data in football is worth everything, and these clubs pay above and beyond for it. So there'll always be ways to get it. But we know it's a lot of money, and you surprise people. Like one license to use for a year of Y-Scout, which is the most used software for scouts, is £30,000 a year, £40,000 a year, and that's just one license to use their software, because the data is so invaluable to a lot of clubs.
They wouldn't, even for us to get data, even on smallish data, for us, it was something. I think it was something like 12 grand a year. You can get a low level where it's very basic. But again, you're still talking thousands of pounds just to, you're still looking at about 3 grand a year to get stuff.
Well, it's also then once you get this data, what do you do with it? Which is what I don't know if Aldo's background was engineering or data software or anything as such, because he's just a journalist, right? But this is my thing.
He did
but-
start News at Den, didn't he? He built News at Den.
So this is but then it's what you do with that day and how you digest it, which is why Brentford have done so well with or the backing of Matthew Benham and Matchroom, or not Matchroom, whatever he's called to his company. But what do you do that day once you get it? That's the $1 million question to find these players. But look, the Norse come out of nowhere. So is Fleming.
Do you reckon if we put a request in to the club to ask to interview Aldo to find out exactly what he does, what do you reckon the answer would be? If you can pop the answer in the comments, that would be really good. Do you know what I mean? What do you think the club would do? Because I know what the club's point of view is when I asked whether or not a transfer rumour was true. That was quite comical.
I like where the club's going personally, but I don't know about Aldo.
I do too.
I don't know what Aldo. I don't know.
Jack Alder, my brother-in-law was the fellow who scouted the Maku. He told me the amount of players last year he recommends to Gary Rowett, who turned his nose up at him, is mad. Players like KDH at Leicester.
I was going to say, I've heard that a couple of times now.
Kieran Drisby Hall, right?
Don't know how true it ever is, but yeah, I've heard that a couple of times now.
I mean, Jack, if your brother-in-law ever wants to come on the show, mate, just get in touch.
Well, this is it though with Millwall, isn't it? It's like now a shift from that. It's got to be a club decision instead of a manager decision, isn't it? Because full managers ain't around for a long time to see it out, really.
No. Right, then we'll get on to the important part now. Then before we end, Omar, score prediction and starting 11 for tomorrow.
Start 11 if he's fit. Danny back at right back. Bart in goal. You see, Bart, I want to keep Bart in goal because I don't think he deserves to be dropped. But also, I think if Sarkic is our £2 million goalkeeper, whether we pay for him, there's got to be a point where you play him. But I'd keep Bart in just now. I'd have Harding and Cooper centre halves. It scares the life out of me, but it's got to be a back four tomorrow. And then I'd play. Joe Bryan's not available, is he? So it's got to be Murray Wallace left back, I think. There you go. I said it. And then I'd have midfield 2 of Mitchell and Denor. Right wing, I'm going to go 4-4-2, yeah. And I'm going to go SA on the right, Watmore on the left, and Fleming and Nisbet up front, 4-4-2. And the score is going to be 3-2 Sunderland. There you go. I'll never go for an away win, but there you go.
Stephen?
I would say, I think you got to kick with Bart. I think you stick Bart in goal still. If fit, I'd go Danny McNamara, Harding, Cooper. If it was me, I would go Adam Malachi. I can't have another afternoon of watching Murray Wallace try and play at left back. I would go Norton Cuffy further forward on the right hand side in front of Danny. I'd go probably Watmore on the left, Savendenor in the middle, and I'd go Nisbet and Bradshaw as a 2. I'd go back to a real basic Brexit 4-4-2, and I know everyone says it's old fashioned and whatnot, but I just feel like we need to try and get back a little bit of an old school feel and 2 strikers. And I know I've said it a few times. We don't really have wingers that can do an awful lot of damage, but Duncan Watmore is quite creative, and Norton Cuffy does have a little bit of pace. Get some balls in the box and have two strikers wanting to be on the end of it.
Yeah, I agree. But also, just to caveat my prediction 3-2, I'll have 4 pints per game and say we'll win 3-0. So there you go.
Those of you, if you can get your starting 11 and your predictions into the comments now, and then we can have a go at reading through them before we close down. So
my score prediction as well, score draw.
Okay, no worries.
And Mickey, just a comment from someone watching online, Adam, he says, Aldo sits there all day using the in-game editor and Football Manager to scout players. So there you go. That's what everyone thinks of Aldo pretty much, isn't it?
So he's Ben in disguise.
That's it, yeah.
Ben can do a better job than Aldo. Is that what we're saying? Confirmed.
It's like this now, isn't it? It's like this. It's let's welcome Aldo to the show.
Well, that is a dream job getting that. So I'll get in there. I've won the Champions League with Millwall, so I've got to do better than him.
There you go. There you go.
How many times do you quit and reload though?
Stephen said that before, and I got highly offended, mate.
Oh, there you go.
No, that's it. Right, go on in, Ben. Starting 11 and prediction, please, sir.
So, yeah, unfortunately, Muzza's got to start because I don't think we've got anyone else to play left back. I just think it's just going to have to happen. So, Bart, Muzza, Hutch, Coots. I've put Leonard at right back, Casper and Mitchell in midfield. I've also pushed Norton Cuffy further forward, Fleming in behind. I've actually put Honeyman wide left and Nisbet up front. And I think 2-2.
To be fair, if what wasn't available, I'll chuck in Honeyman. I think Honeyman's a good player, but he doesn't fit that team, does he? At the minute, that's the problem.
Ben is director of football. Brad's mum is his assistant.
She's a lovely lady.
Should still be playing for us aged 40. If that is the case.
So Bailey's been watching for a while, but not actually got involved until tonight. So yeah, well done, Bailey. Don't make sure you subscribe. Right, Bailey said score prediction 2-2. Bart, Cuffy, Harding, Cooper, Lenny at left back, Denor, Saville, Essay, Fleming, Watmore, Nesbitt. Chris Brown says, fuck's sake, don't say Wallace. Rob Abbott says 2-2. Bart, Leonard, Harding, Coots, Adam, Malachi, Mitchell, Denor, Saville, BNC, Nesbitt, Watmore. Interesting. He's cut Fleming out.
Yeah, no Fleming, yeah.
2-1 to the wall, the beginning of a nice little run. Bailey says Jack Cart will just peel into Murray Wallace if he starts, and we might as well all go home. I think he's right. I just hope someone clatters that little West Ham prick, Alex Pritchard.
Yeah.
Yes.
Art, Malik, Harding, Cooper, Leonard, Mitchell, Denor, Saville. Yeah. Watmore. Yeah, that's the new player we're getting from Belgium in January. Watmore, Nesbitt, Norton Cuffy, winger.
I love Mill fans. Don't forget Pritchard. Mill fans never forget things like that, do we? We never do.
No.
Is Watmore fit? Why was he missing Wednesday? There is nothing wrong with a good old 4-4-2. Millwall 0, Sunderland 6. Bring back Barrett. I think that's tongue in cheek. Blur are better than Oasis.
Oh, Ben doesn't have that one.
I don't know.
We'll do that for another
that's
show.
For another show. That's another show. That is.
Counter words that one.
Cooper, Hutch, Leonard, Sav, Denor, NC, Watmore, Nesbitt, SA 2-0 win. 1-0 if he drops Bart, 0-0 if not. Bart, Danny Mack, Coops, Harding, Leonard, Cuffy, Denor, Saville, Amaku, and Nesbitt.
Do you notice though that there's more and more people are dropping Fleming?
Because his name's not Jed Wallace, he's not English. Sorry, I'll say that now. I'm sorry. I'm not having this.
No. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
I like Fleming.
But listen, I get where everyone's coming from, but you need to build this team around him, and I'm gonna nail my thing to the mast of that one. You've got to build your team around Zian Fleming.
No, I think Zian Fleming, and then just behind Zian Fleming, Denor, and then I think Bradders needs a rest, and I would put Nesbitt and Amaku up front.
Is there a lot of bugbears about Fleming though, because he's not interested, or his body language, or
no? I think he's frustration. I think it's the fact that he's just he's a football-minded player who can read the game really well, and I think the problem is that he can see where he wants to do with things, but the players are just never there when he wants to fucking put it there.
Do we think that? There's 2 points to this with Fleming. One, do we think that he's still carrying on a little bit of he's a bit pissed off that he never got his Premier League move if that was seriously on the table, which we believe that it was. And secondly, do you guys ever see Edwards realistically with how we've played in the last 2 games, considering we've been so open, ever go into a formation where we've got 2 strikers on the pitch at the same time?
I think he's got to go for it tomorrow. I do think so. I
swear Bailey's Omar's fucking burner account.
he's pro Bradshaw and all, so it's mine or Ben's.
No, Ben. We know what Ben's are. He's got about another 8.
I think I get the bugbear with Fleming. I really do, but he is our mate. He's our main outlet. I'm sorry, he is, and I refuse to say otherwise. I get the bugbears, but he's been shit. So has everyone else. Like, why are we singling this man out of everyone else? I don't understand. What is it? Bradshaw's been less than effective in pretty much all season, but yet we're all going for Fleming. Like,
I've been calling for Nisbet much to Ben's annoyance. I've been calling for Nisbet to play for the last 3 or 4 weeks. So they're both Bradshaw has passed it for me now. He's got to go.
Against my point is like, he works hard and he's a grafter up front. Let's play Bradshaw, but like, just because Fleming's not that player, I get it. And I know some people have been calling for Bradshaw as well, but I don't know. I think Fleming's being the scapegoat when he's the man that could turn it around for us. I think we need to be careful what we're doing here. Like, if we're all going to start turning on him, like, I don't know. I think it could just. He's still that kind of. He's our multi-million-pound asset, and we need to look after him, because if we're going to sell him in half a year's time, he's got to be playing well. So
I mean,
I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry, but I would be absolutely delighted if we're only playing one up front tomorrow and an attacking midfielder, that it's Nisbet and Esse. I would be absolutely delighted if it's them two tomorrow.
I don't disagree on recent form. I wouldn't begrudge it either, because I want Esse to get his opportunity, and if that comes at the expense of Fleming tomorrow, I'll be fine with that. But my point is, what I'm getting at is like. I don't know. I don't understand how we could forget last season all of a sudden. It feels crazy. Like, I get where everyone's coming from, though.
Wow. Shots fired.
I love it. I'm happy to disagree with people.
Ben's burner account, by the way.
I want these people to disagree with me. Honestly, like, but the thing is, like, okay, if he's that good, he should turn up. But there's more. It's a team game as well, though, isn't it? Come on, if the team's not doing it for him, how is he going to play well?
Don't worry, Omar's Fleming's agent.
I'll get 10% of any deal. I'll get 10% of any deal. Boys.
Hold on. Well, before we just one more thing for Omar, and I just point out something and see what he says here, and Ben perhaps. It's on Stan Fleming.
You got the video from Blackpool?
No, he's played 19 games this season. Fleming. He's got 4 goals and 2 assists. So 6 goal contributions in 19 games. From now until the end of the season, assuming he stays in January, which I think he will, what's he get to?
So how many goals has he got? 6 goal contributions, yeah?
He's got 6. He's got 4 goals, 2 assists in 19 games. Ben and Mickey, all 3 of you, how many goal contributions, and the comments as well, how many goal contributions does Zian Fleming end up with at the end of the season?
If he stays till May and he plays most of the games and he's available for most of them, he finishes on at least 15 goal contributions for me.
Yeah, I think you're about right.
I'm not doubting his talent.
I was also going to say 15, so that's really important. All 3 of us say that.
So we put a bet on it then, lads.
I think he also gets double figures in goals this year. I get where everyone's coming from, and he's out of form, and I'm fine with dropping tomorrow.
He took a bit last year, though, didn't he? He took a little bit to get running last year.
But I think you need to, like, there's that. He has barren spells. Okay, let's drop him and play Esse, give him an opportunity. But I think Fleming, QPR 2-0 up, by the way.
Mickey, can we go back a comment around Esse and Amaku? Because I'm starting, not turning the young lads, but I was very much last year, get them inside, they're exciting. And now I'm going, Amaku hasn't looked great in the 2 times he started for us. Esse is clearly something wrong there because he's not getting as much game time as we all expect. So I'm just now starting to go, yeah. Well, we can't afford to Maku to start tomorrow and him to have 45 minutes like he has done.
This is the question now, isn't it? It's becoming crunch time, isn't it? It feels like it's crunch time already. You've got the pressure from QPR. Like, this is it. Like, can you afford to play these players? But then he's only played 2 games.
Well, Maku, you haven't even seen him start, right? But Maku started 2 games this year against Blackburn and obviously Ipswich, and it's probably the worst 45 minutes that we've seen of him. We've only seen snippets of him before that.
Just to say, if Fleming scores tomorrow, I'll be posted on Twitter, so be sure to.
Oh look, if
I'll do a
he
post-match
scores
with Omo.
tomorrow, if he scores tomorrow, right, I will gladly accept that I got it wrong, asking for him to potentially be dropped. That's not a problem.
Right.
How?
Okay.
But I just don't see it. I just don't see it.
Right. On our Twitter post earlier on, obviously Sunday 1 o'clock. I want to get in this before we go. Sunday 1 o'clock is the FA Cup third round draw, which could be the game really to play a lot of our youth to fucking give them a go, because who cares really if we do well, really the league's going to be more important. But gents, we are ball 26. I don't have the balls in front of me. You can look at the balls if you want. It's on the Twitter account of ours of the pod. Who do you want drawn, and do you want home or away, and who would be fucking hell, Danny? Really?
Always away, and I'll take that as well. I'll take it. We'll lose 10-0. I don't care. It's a day out. Come on.
10, mate, if we play Man City, I think there'll be a record goal scoring, especially if Wallace plays.
Someone said Man United at home. If it was under Harris, I'd have loved to have seen us play these sort of teams at home, just to see, like, with Morrison and Gregory up front, what kind of game we'd lose. But I'd love to that cup form team that we had 5 years ago. I'd love to see a big boy come down the den. How they would have gone, like Arsenal under like Unai Emery or something like that. I would have loved to have seen that, how that would have gone down. But now it's an away game, because if we get a Premier League side, we're going to lose. But I want West Ham away personally. That's my prediction. I'd love West Ham away.
Good evening, Bobby. I wondered why.
I would love Everton away, because it could potentially be the last opportunity to go to Goodison Park, because I've never been, and obviously they're leaving their stadium, so I'd love to draw Everton. But realistically, I'm just looking at the numbers here. We're probably going to get Morecambe away.
I'll take it. New ground.
Not far from all that, lads.
Yeah, I'll take it. Let's go.
Yeah, it is. That would be a new ground for me. And if we get Morecambe away, guys, I'm really, really sorry. I'll say that now. That'll be clipped, and I'll get absolutely hammered for it. But Everton away.
We'll be on the lookout for Tyson Fury. Morecambe away. Come on, down the bay. Let's go.
Everton away would be dangerous.
Yeah, it's got to be West Ham away.
Liverpool away would be thingy. West Ham at the taxpayer-funded stadium would be fantastic.
I know, like we're not a football podcast. We're a Millwall podcast, right? And it's for me. If you're a Millwall supporter, there's no other draw you want aside from West Ham away on Sunday. There's no other draw. And forget the football for a minute. It's obvious reasons. West Ham away, that rivalry to be rekindled. I'd love it to go back to go to that stadium. There's no way to police it. It'd be absolute carnage. We'd love it and have a day and have a great time.
But there is no way.
There is no way to police it.
Absolute carnage to police Stratford. Imagine that. I know it. Like that. There's no way whatsoever that can get policed, and it would be absolute carnage. I'd love it. They might lay on coaches for us to get or something. That's the only way to navigate people getting there in one position. I'd love it. West Ham away, please.
You're getting everyone so excited, mate. We're 100% getting Maidstone or Barrow.
I know, but I always want the hope.
I think if we get West Ham, it'll be a fucking 5:30 kickoff in the morning, mate, and it'll be
Arsenal.
Oh, Mickey's gone again. If it's a half five kickoff in the morning, I'd start at 12 at midnight if I have to. It doesn't matter. We're going. We're having it.
That's it. Right then, gents, any last thoughts? Also, just quickly in the comments before we do go, do you want Omar back for another show? Show him the love and say, yes, we want Omar back. You can, if you want him back, because, we've got to show him the love, because otherwise he won't come back. That's his payment, you see. It's the comments to get him back. Horsham. Fucking hell. Yeah, I'll have Horsham. Or AFC Wimbledon is like going to the old Millwall team, because there's a lot of ex-Millwall commercial team and all that lot there. There's a few teams like that, I think, on there. The only one I want is West Ham.
Get a restraining order on Joe, by the way.
Huh?
The comment from Colin Parsfield. Yes, get a restraining order on Joe. And, yeah.
Yeah, someone else what seems to be a fan of Joe's, isn't he? Team Omar.
Oh, cheers, Daddy.
Might as well. And Fleming needs to drop Siege eyes tomorrow. See you later, Bobby. So yeah, we're pretty much.
Looks like you are done, Mickey.
Yeah, Mickey's
Yeah.
done. You always
Yeah,
keeps going, mate. Do you want me to wrap up for you?
No, that's it. We're all done.
Yeah.
Any
All right.
final words, gents?
Please invest in better internet, Mickey.
Well, you'll be coming round to sort that out.
Fleming out, SA in.
Come on, you arms.
Yeah. Peter, don't forget, mate, that fucking I was part of the team that got your boy to walk out the Wonderful team, mate. So, you know, small memory there, fella. Don't pick on me, mate. Do you know what I mean? Fucking mate, look at this. Omar is a legend. Look, Omar has to stay for the Fleming bants.
Yeah, come on, because he's got to
Another
score.
good show, boys. 3 points tomorrow. Omar has to talk sense about Fleming.
There we go. All right, I'm getting confident now. We're going to win tomorrow now. I'm not even.
No.
I'm going. Do you want to know mine? I'm going for 2-0 Millwall. That's it. We're all done, mate. I'm going. We're done.
Yep. Ta-ra, everyone.
Laters.
Come on.
See ya.
Thanks for joining. Make sure